Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So tomorrow I'm going to be running my first ever marathon, and in this video I'm going to take you through all the training I did for it and take you along on race day. So let's jump straight into it. So I first heard about this marathon 8 weeks ago and signed up for it as soon as I heard about it. So that's probably not long enough to get a proper training program in, but it is what it is. I just made the most of the time I had. So I didn't follow any specific training plan, I just sort of improvised it myself. I do have a base of fitness already. I do a fair amount of cycling and I have done a half marathon before, so it's not like I'm coming from zero fitness to running a marathon, because that would be ridiculous. So at the beginning of the training plan I was using these. These are my old Li-Ning running shoes. It's a brand here in China which I bought. I didn't put any thought into these when I bought them. I only bought them because they were the only ones in the shop that fit me. So for this training plan I decided I would spend some money and do some research and buy a good pair of shoes instead. So I ended up getting these. These are Asics Nova Blasts, and these are a bit thicker in the heel here and they have a bit more cushion. So me being a heavier guy and doing a lot of long distance running, I thought this would probably be better for my feet to have a bit more cushioning. And yeah, these are pretty good. I spent about £100 on them, so not too expensive as far as running shoes goes. So far, I've had no problems with these. In my old shoes, I did used to get blisters sometimes, but these ones I haven't had any problems. I think they're a bit wider in the toe box here. So for any endurance exercise, you're going to need some nutrition. I've been using these energy gels. These are conveniently called energy gel, and they are from Decathlon. They're pretty cheap. I just buy them in bulk. So Decathlon sells two types. They sell energy gel and hydrogel. So this hydrogel is more water-based. It provides about half the calories of this really sticky energy gel. So I'm going to take both of them with me. I've been training with both of them as well, and I quite like them. They're good value for money. I mean, it's just sugar, isn't it? So why would it be expensive? So yeah, these are pretty good. I would definitely recommend them to people. So the first runs I did were about 8 weeks ago. I tried to build up my base slowly because I hadn't been running much. I'd mainly been doing cycling. So I started out by doing lots of 5K and 10K runs, but at a really slow pace.
Right, first long run in these new shoes, first long run in general for this training plan. So I'm doing 10K, about 7.5Ks in at the moment. Running based on heart rate. I've got my watch, but it's just showing my heart rate. It's not showing pace or time or anything. I'm trying to keep the heart rate under 160. That's the goal for this one. All right, so far so good. Lovely morning, nice weather, no complaints really. All right, back to it. All right, that's it. So that's the first run done. It took me 53 minutes, 49 seconds for 10 kilometers. So that's 5 minutes and 22 seconds per kilometer. So to be honest, I felt all right doing that. I was keeping the pace quite easy, just looking at the heart rate. So that's the way I want to do these long runs. I don't want to push myself really hard. It's supposed to be quite an easy one, just building up the aerobic base. So yeah, that's the first long run. Next week, I'm going to try to do 15 kilometers and then 20 kilometers the week after. I know that's increasing the distance quite a lot each week, but hopefully it should be okay. And then during the week, I'm just going to do lots of short runs like 5K, nice and slow each time, just making sure the feet are okay with it. Hopefully I won't be getting any injuries or anything like that. That's the main thing I really want to avoid.
I then moved up to doing like 12 and 15 kilometer runs. I know that that is a distance which isn't too difficult for me. If I go quite slowly, I can do that without any problem. About 4 weeks into my program, I decided to test myself and do a half marathon to see how my legs were feeling, and this is how that went.
All right, so today I just did the half marathon. I was gonna do the real one, but I didn't get the draw, so I just ran it on my own. So I did 21.12K in 1 hour 46.35. So I'm pretty damn pleased with that. That's by far the fastest I've ever run a half marathon. So that was good pace. I was hoping for 1 hour and 45 minutes, but the last 2K I just ran out of energy. I was stitching up, so it really slowed down there. But overall, very, very happy with that. I don't know why, I just felt really good. I wasn't even hoping to go nearly that fast, but yeah, all right, very happy with that. Hoping the rest of the training will go well.
So that half marathon training run was probably the high point of this. I felt really good that day. I just ran much faster than I'd ever run before over that distance, and at the end of it I felt really good. So at that point I was thinking I can do really well in this marathon, but then all the bad stuff started to happen. So first off, I ended up crashing my bike. I fell down some stairs and I busted up my knee. It wasn't too bad, but it was tender, so I took like a week off for that. So when you've only got 4 weeks left, taking that sort of time off is not good at all, so definitely a low blow there. So then with 3 weeks ago, I got back into it, still not doing much volume, basically doing about 1 run a week at this point, which really isn't ideal. Really, I should be doing a lot more than that. But then something even worse happened. I got the flu and I was completely out of it for a few days. I had to take some time off work and I was absolutely done.
Alright, so it's the 12th of April and I am feeling rough. I have a temperature of about 39 degrees and basically my Garmin watch says my stress is off the chart. So yeah, this is not ideal. So I'm just going to take it easy for the next few days and hopefully get better, and we'll see how I feel in a few more days. All right, peace out.
Fortunately, I got over that quite quickly. 2 or 3 days, I was back on it, not feeling 100%, but still much better than I was before. I had one day where I was absolutely bedridden. My Garmin stats just said my body was falling apart, basically. So yeah, not good at all. I do think I know why that happened. The day before I got sick, I went for a really long run. I was aiming to do 30k, and that was going to be the longest run in my training plan. But it was a very sandy day. The pollution was not good, but I still went out. And I think that's what caused my illness. Running in the bad pollution, it just really did me in and made me feel terrible. So yeah, that was not good at all.
All right, that's it for today. 23 Ks, 2 hours and 11 minutes, and I am done. My legs feel awful. The mistake I made here, I think, was going out way too quickly. I was hoping to go 30k, and yeah, that's not happening. 23 I managed, which is not ideal, but yeah, I need to feed more for the real marathon, and I need to slow down my pace at the beginning, otherwise I'm going to get halfway and start crashing. My feet feel horrible, my legs feel done, so yeah, not an ideal final run. So on the real thing, I'll have to do 18 more kilometers than that, and it's probably going to be quite difficult. Hopefully the weather will be good, as in quite cool. Today is way too hot. I am absolutely melting and it's not ideal. So on the real marathon day, I need it to be cold, and I need to remember to fuel. I need to remember to drink, because today I have not drank well. Yeah, I seem to get a stitch if I drink too much, so I just need to make sure I'm on top of that, like sipping a lot, and just hope for a cool day. All right, that's it for this one. See you on race day.
After that, I just took it easy. I did a nice slow 12k, just making sure I'm running to heart rate rather than to speed. So yeah, that's it. And now the day has come. Tomorrow is race day. So I'm just going to talk over how I think this is going to go. So I reckon I'll probably get to about kilometer 25 and absolutely hit some sort of wall. That's probably going to last for like 5k. If I can power through that, then I think I can just like use the adrenaline of it being an actual race and just like force myself through the last 12 kilometers. That's the goal anyway. I think if I make it to 30 kilometers, I'll be okay, because then I'm counting down the kilometers rather than counting up. So in your mind, that's sort of like a big deal, I think. So obviously my number one aim is to finish, but my secondary goal is to be under 4 hours. To do that, I'd need to run at a pace of 5 minutes 41 per kilometer. So my strategy is to go out really slow. So for the first 10k or so, I'm going to run at 6 minutes per kilometer, and hopefully that will act as sort of like a warm-up. I really don't want to go out too fast, because that's the worry. That's when I'll just run out of energy and completely die at the end, basically. So I'm going to go slow for the first 10k, see how I feel. So maybe after that I'll pick it up to marathon pace, which is 5:40. The reason I'm going to go slow at the start isn't just saving energy, it's also because that's when the crowd is biggest. There's going to be thousands of people all like jostling for space, so that's when I want to go slow, just to make sure I don't like trip over anyone. So there's practical reason as well as like the tactical reason. If I make it to halfway feeling good, that'll be excellent, and then just dragging myself over the finish line will be the goal. Once I get to kilometer 30, like I said, it's just all mental, just one step at a time really at that point. I've never run more than about 25 kilometers, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how my body reacts. I'm going to run with this water bag instead of relying on the water around the course, just because I'm a very sweaty guy. I know I'm going to need more water than the race provides. So yeah, this is a 1.5 liters, which I'm going to have on my back. I'm also going to have access to gels in these pockets here. So it'll be on my shoulders and I can just reach across and pick them up here. So that should be quite convenient. This isn't heavy at all. Like 1.5 kilograms on my back is not much at all when I weigh like 95 kilograms myself. So I'd much rather have this water on me and be able to sip and drink whenever I need it, rather than having to rely on the course for the water. I'm also going to be running with my GoPro strapped to me, so it's probably not going to be the most elegant of running solutions, but by the time I've got my GoPro on and my backpack on, I'm probably going to be pretty well kitted up. Hopefully it won't make a big difference, but that's the easiest way for me to film the race. I'm not going to film the whole thing, obviously, just little bits. Anyway, now it's the final time set up. I've got my race number here, gonna attach it to my shirt and get ready. So the race is tomorrow. Let's skip forward to that.
So just arrived on the metro, about an hour journey, but this is it, almost here, and the race will begin very soon. All right, so this is the start line. It's pretty damn packed.
So I've just squeezed into the starting pen here, just waiting for the race to start. I'm actually quite near the front, which is quite nice. I don't have to wait too long for the whole crowd to filter through to the start line. So this is it, this is the start line here, making sure I'm ready to click the button on my Garmin. So all these 8 weeks of training finally going to come to fruition. Here we go, crossing the start line now. And as soon as we begin, you can see how packed it is at this point. There's no way you can run fast in all of this, unless you're right at the front, of course. But yeah, it's an absolute chaos at the beginning, like people just getting stuck in the way, stopping for photos, all those annoying things at the beginning. So yeah, like I said, at this point I'm just trying to go slow. There's not really much else I can do. You can't run fast in this situation, it's just too much chaos. Just trying to make sure I don't like run into someone or do something stupid like that. So around the edge of the screen you can see my stats. I'm currently running at about 7.5 minutes per kilometer. That's just because it's so busy at the moment. My marathon pace for this, if I'm going to achieve 4 hours, is going to be 5:40 per kilometer. So at the moment I'm going way slower than that. My heart rate is really low at this point. I'm barely even running. This is just sort of like a fast walk at this point. My heart rate is so low, 120. That's like warm-up pace. So yeah, at this point still just taking it easy, almost a kilometer in, and yeah, everything's going well. Along the bottom you can see the elevation of the route. It's pretty flat. The highest it gets to is about 36 meters. So when the whole race is compressed, the elevation graph does look quite steep, but really there's not that much elevation over the whole course of the race. Overall it's about 260 meters. So let's skip forward a bit. This is the first aid station at 5 kilometers in, and at this point I'm feeling quite smug because I can just run straight through the middle. I don't have to stop because I'm carrying my water on my back, so this is quite good. I get to save a few measly seconds here. My heart rate has now gone up to about 150, which is my zone 3, so I'm pretty comfortable at this point. The pace is still, it's gone up quite a lot because it's spread out a bit. There's still loads of people, as you can see, but it's a lot better than it was before. It's spread out quite a bit. So this race was so busy because it wasn't just a full marathon, it was also a half marathon and a 5k all in one. So by the time I get to the end of the half marathon, the crowd should be a lot smaller because most of the people will have finished by then. So that's the point where I want to be able to have some energy left. Let's skip forward again. We're about 40 minutes in at this point, 6.7 kilometers done. I'm just overtaking the pacer group here. So this is the 4:45 pacers, and I want to finish in 4 hours. So I know at this point I'm a long way behind schedule. So if I can get ahead of these guys, it'll be quite good. So 46 minutes in now, another aid station, and you can see it's a lot more spread out now. I'm finally managing to run at around the pace I want to, which is about 5:40. So I'm trying to keep it steady. My heart rate is still pretty low at this point, which I'm pretty happy with. This is only 8 kilometers in, so at this point I should feel quite comfortable. If I'm feeling bad only 8 kilometers in, it's not going to be a good day. You can see how many like cups and stuff are on the ground, so at this point I'm still pretty far back in the entire pack, I think. So let's jump forward almost an hour and 38 minutes in. At this point I've actually settled into quite a good rhythm. I'm running a bit too fast at this point, 5 minutes 20, which is faster than marathon pace, but I'm actually feeling quite good. My heart rate is pretty steady around 160, 17 kilometers in, and this is coming to the end of the half marathon, just 4 more kilometers, and the crowd should start to get a lot thinner at that point. This part of the marathon is actually quite nice. We're running along the coast, with the coast on the right hand side and then the city and the skyscrapers on the left hand side, so it's actually quite a pretty marathon. The weather, actually, I haven't talked about that yet, is really good. It's a cloudy day, it's quite cold, about 15 degrees, so relatively speaking the weather has been quite good. If it were a hot day I would really have suffered, but cloudy, not much sun, and quite cold. I'm very happy with this weather and I think it's helping me a lot. Skip forward again. If you look on the right hand side of the screen here, you can see we're passing the 20 kilometer mark, and that is the real distance, but my watch says we're at about 21.2 kilometers. So it's interesting to see the difference between the GPS watch and the real distance. So this route is actually pretty interesting. You can see all these flags along the top of the screen. This is because this is where the Olympics was in 2008. The city is called Qingdao, and we're actually just coming up to the Olympic flame here. So this is the city where all the sailing events were done in the Olympics. So we're just coming up to the halfway line now. You can see all the people on the left, they're the ones finishing the half marathon now, but I've got to do another 21 kilometers, so I've got to run in the opposite direction, then come back, and it's going to be an absolute drag.
Alright, just crossed halfway, so 21 kilometers to go. Feeling pretty good actually. About 5 minutes below pace, but hoping to go faster in the second half. Alright, Let's keep at it.
So just overtaking the 4:15 paces here. I know if I can stay ahead of these guys, then I'm in for a pretty good time. I want to overtake the 4-hour paces, and they're a long way up the road, so that's the next goal for me. I've been running quite fast, actually, about 5 minutes per kilometer, which is very, very fast for me, actually. And my heart rate is really high at this point, 175. I think the excitement of going past the start-finish line has actually forced me to push quite hard, so we'll see if that's a mistake in a few kilometers, probably. So the race started at about 7 AM and now it's about 9 AM, so the heat of the day is actually starting to come through. Even though it looks quite cloudy, it's actually pretty warm now, so I'm stopping to get some of these strange ice water sponges things that you can squeeze on your head. So yeah, that's the first time I've had to use one of the aid stations. So we're about 25 kilometers in, and at this point this is further than I've ever run before. My previous longest run ever was 23 kilometers, and that was on a really hot day. So at this point I'm surprised with how well I'm feeling. I know at some point I'm probably going to hit some sort of wall, and I know I'm going to have to try to work really hard to push through that, but 24 kilometers in, I'm feeling surprisingly okay actually. 27 kilometers in now, and you can see how empty it is now. Barely anyone on the course now compared to how it was before. It's quite nice because you can sort of run at your own pace without having to worry about like slowing anyone else down or bumping into anyone. Still, there's a few people on the side of the course watching, but it's nothing like the crowds were earlier. Coming up to the 30 kilometer mark here, and this is when everything starts to go wrong. 30 kilometers is a long ass way to run, let me tell you that, especially for someone who's only ever run 23 kilometers. And yeah, at this point I'm beginning to run low on water. My feet are in absolute agony and I'm just willing myself through. I'm still on target, just about to manage 4 hours, but I would really have to maintain the same pace for the rest of the race, and the fatigue is really starting to set in. So at this point I just want to get to the end without walking, so that's really my new goal. I'm having to stop here to pick up some water because I'm running out of water on my back. I thought I would be able to carry enough water to not have to stop at these aid stations, but that didn't prove to be the case. I drank so much and I needed so much water just to stay hydrated. The challenge of the marathon is really starting to show itself now. People just sitting on the side of the road, absolutely done. 32 kilometers now, 10 kilometers to go. I've run 10 kilometers so often in my life that I'm thinking, surely I can just bring this home. 10 kilometers is not that far really, but once you've already done 30 kilometers, it just feels like an absolute eternity. So many people on the course now are just like walking, which I don't blame them because it is so painful at this point. 9 kilometers to go, and I am just counting down every kilometer at this point. Everything hurts, I just want it to be over, and there's actually some uphills here which make everything so much worse. So I had to stop for a bit at an aid station and just walk for a bit because my feet were in agony, my toes are all bruised up, and everything just hurts. So the 4:15 group overtook me, and I'm just going to try and stick with them till the end. They're running at quite a nice pace, so if I can stick with this group to the end, I think I'll be happy. 36 kilometers, and that group has just left me. They are running at a pace that I cannot sustain at this point. My feet are done. I am just dying. 38 kilometers, and I have absolutely just given up at this point. I am walking, no shame in that.
Right, so it's kilometer 38, and I have absolutely bombed. My legs are not working. I can't walk, I can't run at all. I'm out of water, I've pretty much eaten all my gels, and yeah, I think that's it. Walk to the end, 3 more kilometers to go. Just want to finish now, I'm not really bothered about the time, but yeah, I got to about kilometer 32 and then I hit the wall, and now it's just getting to the end is the goal. All right, see you at the end.
So I absolutely hit the wall there, no shame in admitting that. Kilometer 40 here, and I am walking. Not even a fast walk, quite a slow walk because everything hurts. Almost at the end here, I think at this point there's about 1 kilometer to go. Yeah, there's the 41 kilometer sign. So final few hundred meters here, putting in a last bit of effort here just to run past these crowds. The crowds really do give you a lot of energy. At this point my GoPro runs out of battery, so I have to get my phone out and film the last few hundred meters myself, which is a bit of a hassle. Just going past the 42 kilometer sign here, and this has definitely been the hardest thing I've ever done. Running for a long time is so much more difficult than cycling for a long time. I can tell you that for sure. It's just a constant impact on your legs. You really feel it. It really adds up. At least when you're cycling, you can coast and have a little rest. But on running, there's no respite whatsoever. So I think this has definitely been the hardest thing I've ever done. My final time was 4 hours and 23 minutes. My goal was 4 hours, but I think that was a bit of a lofty goal, really, especially considering I'd never run more than 23 kilometers. I do think with a bit more training, a bit more structure, I could probably achieve it, and I'm definitely going to set that goal for myself for next time. I don't know when I'm going to do another marathon, to be honest. I don't think I would have the willpower to just run a marathon on my own without the event. So yeah, maybe in the future I'll try it again. So if you want to see that, be sure to subscribe and like the video. It really helps me out. And here we are, just crossing the finish line. This guy here on the right, I don't know what's gone on in his mind. He can just sprint to the finish line. But for me, here I am crossing in 4 hours and 26. That's the official time. The chip time was about 4 hours and 23.
Oh, finished. Oh, I'm dead. Oh. Alright, finished. I managed to toughen up and run the last kilometre just because there's a crowd and, you know, can't be the guy walking across the finish line. But in the end it was 4:23. So it wasn't the goal I wanted to achieve, but it was my first ever attempt, so I'm just happy to have finished, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna go home, eat a lot of food, and then edit this video, I guess. So if you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe. And in a few days, I'll probably do another video talking about how it went in more detail. So if you want to see that video, click up here somewhere. If you're watching in the future, that is. If you're watching now, then be sure to subscribe so you get notified of that video. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.